The grand hall of the Zarkathi Imperium glowed with the cold shimmer of ion stone chandeliers, casting elongated shadows across a council chamber built to intimidate. A dozen High Lords sat in a crescent formation, their elongated skulls adorned with ceremonial crests. Above them, the galactic map spun in silence. Dozens of systems marked in Zarkathi red, one of them flashing a low amber pulse. The ambassador drone hovered into the chamber, its voice echoing with the mechanical inflection of an alien tongue recently added to the translator matrix. Transmission received. Origin. Sol system. Designation. Earth. Language. Terran Common. The hall grew quiet. High Lord Servin narrowed his lidless eyes. Earth. The primitives. The drone's projection blinked to life. A simple human in a dark uniform standing before a blank screen. His expression was calm. His voice, oddly measured. "This is Admiral Jordan Riker of the Terran United Front. Your scouts breached our exosphere. We responded accordingly. Cease all hostile activities near Sol. You are not beyond consequence." Then came a brief silence, and the final sentence, spoken without malice or bravado. "This is your only warning." The message ended. The room remained silent for 3 seconds, then erupted into laughter. "By the 9 conquerors, they think they can threaten us," chuckled High Lord Vekthar, his voice rasping through gills. "These mammals mastered orbital flight barely 2 centuries ago." "They have spirit," mused another, "but nothing else." Servin flicked his clawed fingers, silencing the chatter. "Still, they destroyed our recon drone above their planet 2 cycles ago. And now their transmissions jammed the ones near Europa." "Annoying," Vekthar sneered, a wasp buzzing at the heel of a giant. General Vokran, a towering brute clad in grav-plate armor, stepped forward from the shadows. The commander of the Imperium's 9th Fleet, he exuded violence like radiation. "I've heard enough," he growled. "We deploy at once. Fleet 9 will teach these Terrans their place. Their bark will die in silence." Servin gestured lazily. "Make it surgical. No planetary destruction, just a display. They need to understand the price of impudence." Vokran bowed slightly. "Understood. I will return with their orbital foundries as trophies." The Grand Hall echoed with approval. The Council resumed its idle discussion of trade routes and border skirmishes, forgetting Earth within moments. The projection dimmed. The amber warning on the map blinked once and vanished. Far away, in a darkened room on Earth, Admiral Jordan Riker stood alone in front of a command table embedded with stellar coordinates. The light from the warning transmission faded behind him. A technician approached hesitantly. They didn't respond. Riker didn't look up. He simply pressed one button on the console, a codeword authorization sent to every off-world Terran black site. Status: Aliert DELT Co-Environment PROTOCOL REVENET. Engage. Riker muttered under his breath. So be it. 6 Zarkathi scout probes, each cloaked in photon-bending alloys and equipped with subspace tethering, slipped into the Sol system like whispers. The 9th Fleet followed at a measured pace, just outside Neptune's orbit, cloaked in the same arrogant confidence that had carried Zarkathi warships to 1,000 victories. General Vokran watched the probe telemetry from his command throne aboard Gorlash, the flagship of the fleet. His tendrils twitched in satisfaction as Jupiter's gravity well bent their entry vectors perfectly. "Let's see what these hairless savages have built," he murmured. One by one, the probes blinked through the outer perimeter, scattering across the system. One toward Mars, one looping behind Saturn, another aimed for Earth's lunar orbit. And then, one by one, they vanished. First came silence. Then the data feeds began to desync. Not jammed, not corrupted, just stopped. Vokran narrowed his eyes. "Status." "No return signal," replied his operations officer, clicking nervously at his console. All probes went dark. No trace, No heat signatures, no transmissions. Just terminated. Gravitational disruption, Vokrin offered. The technician shook his head. We would have seen it. It's like something swallowed them mid-burst. Then came the second wave. Another 6, launched with tighter encryption, more erratic flight patterns. 4 entered the asteroid belt before disappearing. The 5th never made it past Uranus. The 6th transmitted exactly 2.7 seconds of video before dying. Vokrin leaned forward as the brief footage played. The probe had entered orbit around a planetoid. Pluto, humans called it. It showed nothing remarkable, just icy terrain, shadows. Then a light blinked from the surface. A single frequency pulse, then static. The video cut out. What was that? Vokrin snapped. The technician isolated the blinking light's pattern. It repeated twice, then ended. Binary. Old Earth code. He translated aloud, hesitating. It said, "We warned you." A cold hush spread across the bridge. Vokrin rose slowly. Cloak the fleet. Begin a deep scan of the Sol system. Every moon, every orbit, every shadow. I want to know where those messages came from. The orders echoed across the fleet's command channels. Dozens of Zarkethi cruisers, destroyers, and capital ships began deploying drones and launching recon flights. But fear was beginning to ripple through the crew. No alien species had ever caused this kind of blackout before, and no one had ever seen human tech behave this way. In the darkness of deep space, beyond the Oort cloud, something stirred. The Terran stealth satellite array, codenamed Spectraline, came online. A quiet alert pulsed through fibered gravcoms embedded in dark matter insulation. Unseen, undetected, they had recorded every Zarkethi probe entry point. They had watched. And now, they calculated trajectories. On Earth, Admiral Riker stood before a black glass map of the Sol system. The Zarkethi fleet glimmered like fresh blood drops in the outer system. The AI beside him whispered, "Targets acquired. Shall we proceed with Phase 1? Riker didn't blink. "No. Let them come closer." Fleet 9 emerged from the edge of the Sol system's outer perimeter like a dark constellation. 73 colossal warships, engines humming a deep red glow, sliced through the void with unyielding purpose. General Vokrin stood on the command bridge of the Gorlash, his massive frame rigid with anticipation. His claws tapped impatiently against the console. "We're clear," the tactical officer reported, voice steady but eyes betraying a flicker of unease. No active sensor interference within Mercury's orbit. Vokrin's lips curled in a sneer. "Then we proceed. Prepare for orbital assault." The fleet folded in toward Mars, their primary staging ground for an invasion into Earth's inner defenses. The capital ships adjusted formation, preparing to deploy fighters and bombardment drones. Suddenly, a faint shimmer flickered across the sensor grid, brief, almost imperceptible. The fleet's AIs blinked, struggling to interpret the anomaly. Before anyone could react, the space around the Gorlash began to warp. An invisible distortion rippled outward, a violent, twisting tremor in the fabric of space-time itself. It felt as if the laws of physics were bending and breaking. The flagship lurched violently. The bridge alarms screamed in unison as systems flickered on and off. Gravity fluctuated wildly, forcing crew members to cling desperately to rails and consoles. "What in the void is happening?" Vokrin roared, struggling to keep his footing. Then the unimaginable occurred. The Gorlash imploded inward, not from an explosion, but as if space itself crushed the ship like paper. One moment it existed, the next, nothing but a ripple in the void where the flagship had been. "Commander, status report," shrieked Vokrin's second-in-command, face pale as his eyes scanned the chaos. Multiple ships sent out emergency distress signals, only to be swallowed by the same distortion moments later. Within 17 seconds of re-entry into real space, half the fleet was erased. No debris, no wreckage, no energy spikes, just absence. Is this a weapon? A junior officer gasped. The only reply was a faint, haunting transmission picked up across all frequencies, a looped message in a human voice, steady and calm. We warned you. The fleet scrambled to recalibrate. Tactical AIs pinged frantically, trying to locate the invisible source. Impossible, muttered the fleet's chief scientist. They've weaponized the very structure of space-time itself. Sensors began detecting fluctuating gravitational waves, microscopic black holes forming and collapsing in milliseconds, ripping through hull plating and shields. The Zarkathi realized with growing horror, they weren't fighting a conventional enemy. They were fighting the universe itself, reshaped by human hands. On board the Gorlash, Vokran's mind raced. Every instinct screamed retreat, but pride and fury anchored him. Prepare countermeasures. Initiate evasive maneuvers. But mark my words, this is far from over. Far below the frozen surface of Europa, hidden beneath ice and shadow, the real Terran weapons array hummed quietly, silent, unseen, waiting to unleash devastation once more. The survivors of Fleet 9 reeled from the devastating loss. Ships scattered in disarray, their once pristine formations shattered by a foe that defied every known law of combat. Systems flickered on and off, sensors twisted into uselessness, and gravitational waves pulsed like the heartbeat of a cosmic predator. General Vokran slammed his fist against the command console, frustration boiling beneath his hardened exterior. This isn't just war. It's a nightmare. Across the fleet, the AIs struggled to stabilize sensor feeds. Scans of the system revealed nothing. The humans remained invisible, their ships cloaked in technologies that rendered them ghosts. In the midst of chaos, new horrors emerge. Saturn's rings, long believed to be harmless ice and rock, shuddered with unnatural energy. Suddenly, massive shards accelerated, propelled by human-controlled graviton projectors, transforming the rings into a kinetic death zone. Streams of crystalline ice pelted the Zarkathi vessels, each impact sounding like thunder through their hulls. Evasive maneuvers, Vokran ordered, but even the fleet's most skilled pilots could only dodge so much. Meanwhile, Mars, once a strategic foothold, was a decoy. Scanners found no hidden bases, no weapons installations. The real human stronghold had shifted. Mercury, the smallest planet, had been moved. The entire inner system rearranged through subtle manipulations of orbital mechanics. How is this possible? His science officer gasped. It's not just advanced engineering, the AI explained. It's temporal manipulation. We're fighting against altered timelines. The fleet's AI began reporting strange anomalies, chronological loops, causal feedback, systems repeating events that hadn't happened yet. Ships entered battle, only to find themselves fighting echoes of past engagements. Panic spread as internal chronometers desynchronized by nearly a minute, forcing crews to rely on instinct rather than instruments. On the Gorlash, Vokran felt the crushing weight of futility. We are prey, he admitted quietly, trapped in a war where the rules bend around us. Unknown to the Zarkathi, the humans maintained a quiet watch, their warships darting through warped pockets of space. The Terran fleets used cloaking fields that masked not just their forms, but the very flow of time around them. Their weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Collapsing microsingularities, temporal mines that rewound moments of enemy attacks, and electromagnetic pulses that erased memories from AI cores. Each strike was surgical, precise, and then vanished before countermeasures could respond. Across the void, small Terran assault teams executed targeted raids, boarding captured Zarkathi vessels and disabling critical systems. Their soldiers moved with cold efficiency, blending ancient martial discipline with cutting-edge technology. Back on Earth, Admiral Riker observed the unfolding carnage through live feeds. His voice was steady as he addressed his command staff. We are not here to conquer. We are here to survive. To make the galaxy respect humanity's price for peace. A technician interrupted. Admiral, new data from the outer system. Sensor arrays detected movement near Pluto. Riker's eyes sharpened. Prepare the Spectre line. It's time we show them the cost of ignoring warnings. The Galactic Council chamber was vast and cold, a solemn arena where the most powerful species debated the fate of billions. Representatives from countless civilizations gathered, their forms strange and alien, but all wore the same expression: unease. Before them stood a single figure, a former Zarkathy officer now cloaked in exile and shame. His voice trembled as he recounted the horrors he had witnessed. "They do not fight like us," he confessed. "No ships in open combat, no waves of fighters. Their weapons don't roar, they erase. They do not even seem to think in our terms." The hall murmured. "Earth's war machines are hidden in plain sight." The officer continued. "Their bases scattered across the solar system and beyond, concealed beneath ice, buried inside asteroids, even embedded within stars. They weaponize gravity itself, turning Saturn's rings into a weapon of mass destruction. Mars, once thought a staging ground, was a ghost. Mercury. It has been moved, shifted by forces we cannot understand." A stunned silence followed. They wield temporal technology, causing our fleets to experience time loops, memory erasure, even disintegration at a quantum level. Our AIs call it causal loop instability. We are outmatched not by strength, but by a complete redefinition of warfare. Council members exchanged nervous glances. Some whispered about the legend of Terran ingenuity. Others dismissed it as exaggerated. But the evidence was undeniable. One elder from the Phylaxian Collective, an ancient race known for their philosophical wisdom, leaned forward. "You speak of rewriting the very fabric of existence. How is such power possible?" The exiled officer's eyes darkened. Centuries of covert development. While the galaxy's eyes watched elsewhere, humanity transformed from a fractured world into a singular force, hidden beneath layers of secrecy and patience. Their true arsenal is not in brute force, but in their ability to manipulate reality itself. The council chamber's ancient acoustics caught a faint transmission. The holographic interface flickered, displaying intercepted Terran communication. A cold human voice cut through the tension. "We warned you. Now, the price will be paid." Whispers turned to gasps. In a secure chamber on Earth, Admiral Jordan Riker reviewed the Council's broadcasts with grim satisfaction. "Let them see what they fear," he said, fingers tapping on a display revealing human installations, orbital kinetic arrays disguised as debris fields, quantum entanglement disruptors hidden in the asteroid belt, and starship factories beneath Europa's frozen crust. His second-in-command hesitated. "Sir, if this becomes known, it may spark a galaxy-wide coalition against us." Riker smiled thinly. "Then they will learn that humanity does not cower behind coalitions. We adapt. We innovate. We survive. And when necessary, we strike without mercy." Deep beneath Earth's oceans, in sprawling underground complexes, scientists monitored the energy signatures of their weapons. Calculations flowed like rivers, bending physics to their will. They had harnessed microsingularities, temporal distortion fields, and graviton cascades, all combined into a perfect storm of destruction. The real war had only just begun. Outside, the stars shone indifferent, unaware that one small planet was about to redefine the balance of power forever. The Galactic Council chamber fell into an uneasy silence as the human envoy stepped forward, her uniform immaculate, her posture unyielding. The ambient light reflected off the polished floor, but there was no warmth in the room, only the cold weight of expectation. Ambassador Ilara Cade's voice was steady, her tone precise, carrying the authority of a planet that had survived impossible odds. "Galactic representatives," she began, "Earth has offered multiple warnings. We have extended diplomatic channels. We have attempted restraint in the face of provocation." She paused, eyes scanning the assembly. Those warnings were dismissed. Our scouts were destroyed. Our fleets attacked with weapons that defy your understanding and your laws. Our patience, however, is not infinite. A holographic display behind her sprang to life, showing footage of the shattered Zarkathi fleet, the ruined warships drifting lifelessly in space, ghostly remnants of arrogance. "We are not conquerors," Ilara continued, "but we will not be extinguished." The chamber shifted as murmurs rippled through the crowd. "Our technology is unparalleled. Our arsenal is precise and devastating. We do not seek war, but we will respond with overwhelming force to any threat against our sovereignty." She stepped closer to the center of the chamber, voice rising. "This is your final notice. Any hostile action against Terran space, any attempt to breach our defenses, will be met with annihilation, not only of the attackers, but of their homeworlds." A shocked silence followed, broken only by the soft hum of the galaxy's vast communications network. The elder Thalaxian ambassador was the first to speak. "Your threats are unprecedented, Earthling. The galaxy has never seen such absolute declarations." Ilara nodded. "Neither have we. But neither has the galaxy ever faced a people who endured centuries of suppression and emerged united, determined to survive at any cost." In the council chamber's shadowy corners, diplomats exchanged uneasy glances. The balance of power was shifting, rapidly and irreversibly. Far beyond the chamber, in the cold expanse of the Sol system, Earth's orbital defense platforms activated in perfect synchrony. Pulses of energy radiated outward, scanning and sealing every approach vector. General Vokran, still reeling from his fleet's destruction, received the broadcast with clenched fists. His voice was barely a whisper. "They speak with the certainty of gods." The message was clear. Humanity was no longer a distant, primitive world. They were a force to be reckoned with, and they had drawn a line in the stars. On Earth, Admiral Riker stood before a massive star map etched with battle coordinates. His gaze was unyielding. "This is not a threat," he told his officers. "It is a promise. The galaxy will learn respect the hard way." A technician approached, voice cautious. "Admiral, reports indicate new fleets are forming near the borders. Several systems are requesting aid against potential Terran retaliation." Riker's lips curved into a grim smile. "Let them come." The stars watched silently as the stage was set. A new era dawned, one where humanity would no longer bow to threats or be dismissed as insignificant. The galaxy had been warned. The question now was who had the will to survive. The remnants of Fleet 9 limped through the void like wounded beasts, battered and broken. Their once proud warships, symbols of Zarkathi dominance, were now scared with breaches and flickering systems. General Vokran paced the bridge of the Gorlash with furious determination, his thoughts consumed by one bitter truth: they had underestimated humanity. "Report," he barked at his tactical officer, who hurried forward with grim news. "The Terran fleets have fortified their inner system. Sensor readings indicate advanced weaponry embedded throughout Mars, Europa, even beneath Earth's oceans. Their temporal and graviton weapons continue to disrupt our formations. We lost another cruiser attempting to breach the asteroid belt." Vokran clenched his jaw. "We were arrogant. Their technology is beyond anything we imagined." The crew exchanged nervous glances, a rare show of vulnerability in the face of overwhelming odds. Word of the Terran ultimatum had rippled through the Imperium's political ranks, fracturing long-held alliances. Some High Lords demanded immediate retaliation, even full-scale invasion. Others whispered about peace, fearing annihilation. But Vokran was a soldier. Pride and duty compelled him to fight, not surrender. "We will adapt," he vowed. "We will find a way through." Yet the shadow of defeat loomed heavy. Scouts reported that Terran forces had begun coordinated strikes on Zarkathi supply lines, crippling their logistics and spreading panic among the ranks. The psychological toll was profound. Pride, the bedrock of Zarkathi identity, was cracking under the pressure of relentless, invisible warfare. On a shattered moon orbiting Jupiter, a group of Zarkathi soldiers huddled around a flickering holocom, listening to intercepted Terran broadcasts. The voice was calm, almost cold. We do not desire your extinction. But understand this. Defiance invites destruction. Your empire is a relic. Adapt or perish. The soldiers exchanged uneasy looks. One whispered, "They have broken us," without firing a single shot. Back on the Gorlash, Vokrin refused to accept defeat. Prepare the fleet for one final strike. Target their primary command hub beneath Europa's ice. If we can sever their control, we can force them into open battle. His officers hesitated, knowing the mission was a near-suicide run, but obeyed. As the fleet surged toward Europa, the Terran defenses awakened in full fury. Swarms of stealth fighters emerged, their forms shimmering and elusive. The frozen moon's surface erupted with energy bursts, gravity wells snapping shut like cosmic traps. The Gorlash shook under relentless bombardment, hull plating peeling away like leaves in a storm. Inside the command bridge, Vokrin's eyes burned with fierce resolve. "This is our pride. This is our legacy," he whispered. But as the fleet advanced, the Terran counterstrike unleashed a new weapon, an invisible storm of temporal distortions that unraveled the very fabric of space around the Zarkathi ships. One by one, vessels blinked out of existence. The Imperium's pride shattered in silence. Silence enveloped the remnants of the Zarkathi fleet as the last warship blinked out of existence beneath Europa's icy surface. The void swallowed their pride and fury alike, leaving behind only whispers of a once mighty empire humbled. General Vokrin stood alone on the bridge of the Gorlash, the flagship's systems failing around him. The cold reality pressed in. His fleet was annihilated, his people broken. Yet within him stirred a reluctant respect for their unseen adversary. The Terran voice echoed through the comms, steady and resolute. "The galaxy has changed. This is no longer a battle of domination, but of survival and respect." On Earth, Admiral Jordan Riker watched the final data streams with measured calm. The price had been high. Many lives lost on both sides. But the message was clear. Humanity would no longer be dismissed as primitive or weak. They had awakened as a new power, tempered by resilience and refined by innovation. Riker's eyes drifted to the star map. Highlighted were zones of diplomatic outreach and alliance proposals, sent across the galactic network. The fight was far from over, but now there was hope. Ambassador Ilara Cade addressed the Galactic Council once more, her voice now tempered with cautious optimism. "We offer peace," she declared, "a chance to rebuild together, to share knowledge and to face threats beyond any one world or empire." The council members, weary from conflict, considered the proposal. The threat of Terran retaliation had forced a reckoning, but also opened a door. For the first time, the galaxy glimpsed the potential of unity forged through hardship. Back on Europa, Terran engineers began dismantling the temporal weapons that had protected them, signaling their willingness to disarm in good faith. Across the stars, signals of truce and cooperation sparked tentative alliances. Yet, the memory of shattered pride and near annihilation lingered, a reminder of the price of arrogance and the cost of underestimating a rising species. In the vast expanse, humanity's flag glowed with quiet dignity, no longer the hunted, but the vigilant guardians of their future. And beneath the stars, a new dawn rose, one born not from conquest, but from survival, respect, and the unyielding human spirit.